In part 3 of looking at HQs, this time we're going to look at the HQ unit display, which is this area here. So let's go from left to right. Firstly, the unit name, 28th Army HQ, the unit icon, the amount of steps that the unit has, which in this case is only one. This is a new display for version 1.11, and the designers of the game decided to introduce a new refit system. The refit system was designed in earlier games, but was an automatic system, so replenishment of bullets and bonuses and so forth were applied automatically effectively without the player's knowledge until they discovered a particular unit had been upgraded. In Kharkov 1.11, this is now a manual system completely that the player controls. This little section here is part of that, and it indicates that the blue jerry can icon is the general refit function, but this indicates the percentage chance that a unit will receive a lost step during the refit process, or a step refit as they call it. And so it basically just indicates the chance. When you start refitting units, you'll also notice this change. The formation HQ there'll be some numerals down here. It'll say something along the lines of 1 of 3, which indicates that one unit has successfully received a step refit of 3 units that have tried to refit, or it may say 3 units failed, which indicates that all current attempts at refitting for a step refit have failed. Now, if you actually have a look at refit itself, if we have a look at the good old cheat sheet here, the manual. It's on page 96 if you want to have a closer look. But basically, it lists what an eligible unit needs to do to attempt a refit. Effectively, it's no combat action so far that turn. It can't have moved. It's got to be in supply. It's got to be within the HQ command radius. It can't be adjacent to an enemy territory, not just enemy units. And obviously, there's no point. There won't be an icon here for its the ability to refit if it can't actually benefit from the refit action. So what happens if you use this? And also note that there is a there's one in the unit display, but there's also a generic one here which will attempt to refit all units of a side that are eligible. So for refitting, what will happen is the unit will entrench. Any timed replacements will be accelerated by 1 turn. If the unit has no timed replacements left and it's got at least 1 step loss, then there's a chance that the casualty will be replaced by a free step. And this chance is specified on the unit HQ unit display, which of course is what we were looking at previously. The unit will receive a number of bonus attack supply bullets, which we'll look at in a minute, as supplied by its HQ pop-up display. So you'll notice that step replacements also have a small country icon in the step. You will be able to see that a bit more clearly. So we'll then move on to this. This is simply the picture of the HQ itself, unit picture. Up the top right-hand corner is the evolve icon. The evolve icon indicates that depending on the value here, this is showing that in 3 turns' time, the unit will evolve in some way. Now, in this particular case, for this scenario, the scenario designer has chosen to remove the artillery bonus and the number of bullet replenished due to the stockpiling of the Soviet forces at the beginning of the game, or beginning of the battle. But those stockpiles were spent fairly early on. So that's used for that, indicate that that's going to happen in a few turns. Just interestingly, I'll show you, we'll move to the German turn, and I'll show you what can sometimes be displayed in that area. Suppressed by region, this basically means that there is some, the HQ is completely suppressed, so it doesn't broadcast a command radius, and the units can't attempt refit and that type of thing. That's another way around evolving. So, for instance, this unit in previous versions of the scenario used to evolve into a unit that could broadcast, and now it's basically just simply it's suppressed until turn 5. I think is when the counterattack starts in the south, the Germans. So if you see that, that basically means that your unit's going to be able, of that formation, are going to be able to do very, very little to start with, because there's no command radius. Okay, so let's move back to that Soviet HQ. So let's look at the next bar. This is the attack bar. Firstly, we have the nationality icon. Now we have the indirect fire section, so indicated by a artillery icon here. The green bullets indicate how many attack bullets to indirect fire units this HQ will hand out during a normal turn. So at the moment it's 3. You'll notice that you with this particular unit in a couple of turns time, you'll notice that will reduce. So that indicates, so if we go and find, let's look for an artillery unit of that formation. So if you look here on the attack bar of that artillery unit, you'll notice that it basically burns 3 of those attack bullets every time it fires, which means, and it's also got 3 up its sleeve. So it's effectively got 2 turns supply there. Now that's all very well while this unit, the HQ of that particular unit, is resupplying 3 attack bullets. But you will find, you'll have to plan carefully, because you will find that this is not common, having 3. 1 or 2 is more common. So you'll find that you'll have to plan your artillery attacks for future turns, because there will be times when it just simply won't be able to fire because it won't have the attack bullets up its sleeve. So underneath that is this is indirect fire bonus, and this 1 spot on the die indicating that the chances for the indirect fire attack to succeed is 1 spot better than it normally would be. So for instance, an artillery unit that has normally a chance of 3 or higher, when it fires it has a standard chance of killing a enemy step of 2 or higher. So it does make a difference. This side is the combat section, and the combat section basically indicates the amount of attack bullets that are supplied to combat units. Also, there is a chance of, sometimes you will see, depending on the scenario designer, another yellow die down here with a number of spots or a single spot indicating a bonus to any direct attack attempts by eligible units of that formation. We'll cover direct attack at some stage in the future. Also note the colour of the bar. It's green, which indicates it can hand out attack supply. If we, for instance, let's just have a look at this kind of unit. Yes, it's got a mobile power rating, which means that it can move after, it can hand out attack supply after moving, but only a limited amount, 13 hexes. So let's just move that unit. And now we're just going to move the turn forward 1. And we'll go back to that unit. You'll notice that the attack bar has actually changed to a sort of a gold colour, indicating that the unit is still able to hand out attack supply, but in a reduced state. So for instance, well, it's difficult to tell because this area of operation is so small, but it is a reduced. It's just an indicator there. If that attack bar was red, it's not handing out anything. No, and none of the items normally listed here the attack bonuses, the movement penalty reduction, all of those things are not done when it's red. So make sure it doesn't go red. The bottom bar here is the defence bar, but the main point for this is really that it displays the supply burst of its general supply. Now the general supply is indicated by the blue arrow line, as we've covered in an earlier tutorial. The burst radius is 75 OPs, so it's measured in OPs from the unit, and it reaches that. Obviously, other things get in the way, such as terrain and enemy units and so forth. But 75 OPs is its burst radius. Defence value of that particular HQ, so it's got a defence of 10, and its movement value, which is 16 OPs. Well, it covers the basics of HQs, so we'll look at something slightly different next time, I think. Cheers.